index cards to help me. It's just all about using your resources. So those presentations help me prepare for the interview a lot.
And that goes back to the skill set that you learn, Those are skills that you learn coming through, where you start with smaller presentations to build up to your capstone presentation, where you're up there actually teaching the course.
Yep.
Well, I think, this is something, and the listeners have always heard about Reagan, my daughter who's 9. And a lot of times people will say that, hey, Reagan's amazing, she's very smart for her age and stuff like that. And one of the reasons we always say that is because we started early trying to get her to think and start doing it. And so I think that's the same like what you're doing, Dr. Parker, and what, universities try to do is, they use the brain as a muscle and say, if we don't sit there and immediately start building this thing up, you don't sit there and go, like you said just a second ago, Dr. Parker, you don't start in your first class and give an hour presentation. That would probably be a train wreck for people like myself. But I sit there and think about it, and I think about where I've come in my years, and all those times. I remember my senior seminar here, you had about an hour presentation. And nowadays, I go all over, the country speaking and teaching and things of that nature to all types of agencies, teach, week-long classes, have taught here at Campbell. And I think about how, each part of that was nothing but just a little bit of a workout to that next step, to the point where, I got to admit, there's times where if I'm going to give a 10 to 15 minute presentation nowadays that I build a quick PowerPoint presentation and I'm just, after spending 10 minutes building it, I'm ready to go because it's just that thing that we've always constantly done.
Those skills are built.
Exactly, and it's something we have to continue, and that's the benefit. You started out, with higher education and building on it. Then you got to keep them going, and it's that two-way street. It can't be just one way.
Yeah, and I think it's important that they learn the skills both to condense the information, especially in emergency management, where if you have to give a brief, they don't want 15 pages. They want
I think that's so important because, I'm gonna put in a personal thing here. Word by you sit there and give a brief to somebody above you and you read word for word, they're going to say, why do I need your position? And that's, and Amani didn't do it. I don't believe in it. You look at the last time I taught at Campbell, one of the things they said is that we didn't like your PowerPoint because you didn't have all the information there. I said, the point of teaching is not to sit there and read off a slide. If you do that, we'll just give you a bunch of slides and you just take the stuff by yourself.
Yep.
It is about sitting there and just recognizing, and that's what I try to do when I give presentation stuff is I'll look at my screen, I'll have maybe like half a dozen words up there, and then it's turn around and face your audience and you focus on them and you know what to do because you've prepared, you've done your stuff, and there's just, you get to a point where if that's the case, just send me an email with information or, write me a short, a 2-3 page report or hand it to me and I'll read it myself.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very proud of you, Amani, because I would have been very upset if I had heard that because my students know that's one of my pet peeves. That they are going to lose points if they're just reading off the PowerPoint because what you haven't taught me anything. All you've done is shown me that you know how to read.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Well, I can tell you, we did deal, and we constantly deal where we'll see those that come in, and one of the things I guess I look at, I'm one of those, I guess it's my OCD coming out, is it's also a thing to me where it's a disrespect, because if you're sitting there and you got so much stuff on a screen that you're having to look at the screen, and I'm having to look at your back as a participant, that's rude. And number one, and then number two, it makes me sit there and go like, do you know what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how much, you know, and especially, you know, in Homeland Security, emergency management and stuff, how much am I supposed to trust you if you're telling me that you have to look at it to
talk
remember
about it, yeah.
You know, we've got plenty of friends. I got a friend of mine with the National Weather Service in Raleigh. You know, when he gives a presentation, sometimes I don't even know why he does a PowerPoint, because most time he's prepared so much that he's just hitting a button every so often. He's looking out in the crowd. It's just talking, click, talking, click, talking, click, and he never even looks back.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's the kind of, I guess to me, it's also that air of what you're doing, that body language. When you're doing that and you're so focused on your audience, you know, but again, as you're talking about before, Dr. Parker's, that's not a skill you just are born with. I do well now with this, but I wasn't born with it. It was something you had to create and polish and,
Absolutely.
you know, and do.
I can say it does take a whole lot of practice and time to be able to not read off a screen, because I know at some point I used to be a screen reader, but once you do finally get to learn how to not read off a screen, you will not do it anymore, because then you'll start seeing how annoying it is yourself, because you'll hear yourself reading off the screen and it's just like, you know, what am I saying?
Absolutely.
Because you'll see people become less interested in what you're saying because they're reading the same thing you're reading, so they're not interested anymore. So I can say once you learn how to not read off the screen, you won't do it.
Absolutely. And then again, that comes through practice of doing it. And I don't think, you know, any of us didn't. I think we're all, that's the nature of it, is we just, our natural response is to put it up there, read it, and be done with it. Because, you know, why have a presentation or why did this, you know, should be there. But you know, it's something you work yourself out, and like I said, you know, you did a great job, and you know, and I think that's what, you know, we all strive to do is to have that, so you can go through with it, for sure. Do you put a lot of words on your slides, Scott, or do you?
I know I used to, you know, working on, you know, not doing. I don't think I do it as much as I used to.
Okay.
I think once you guys get to senior seminar, or 50% of their grade. So, I mean, this is, you know, your capstone class, and it's a 4-credit course. So if they haven't learned by then, it's something that by the time they see that rubric, they've may not have mastered it, but they're definitely moving towards that.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting very close on time. We got a few minutes left, so you know, hopefully everybody, you know, y'all have got a, you know, chance to hear, you know, a wide variety of reasons, and you know, in the 30-45 minutes that we spend together today, there's no way for us to really mention every benefit of higher education and stuff for emergency preparedness, but you know, hopefully we've given you some things to think about. Does anybody have anything else that y'all want to, you know, say that we might have missed today in our talk?
One thing I would like to say is getting experience and doing internships sets you apart. That's all I have to say.
It absolutely
sets you apart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, and especially as we talked about with the fact that, like, you know, Imani, you did too, and I don't know if this is your first or second. First, okay. You know, but, you know, especially when you sit there and see that there's only one required and you see somebody who's taking the second one, you know, again, as somebody who hires people, that's something, again, like you said, that sets you apart, because I know you didn't have to do that, you know, and that takes time, effort, money, driving, you know, most internships aren't paid, so there's a lot to that. So, well, with the few minutes we have left, Dr. Parker, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm probably pretty sure not, you have a new book coming out.
I do.
So why don't you give us a little bit about the book and where it came from and everything?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that shout out. My specialization in research since 2005 has been in cyber threats and cyber trends, and so I've taught courses on cyber security and cyber terrorism since about 2008, but it was always difficult to find a textbook because many of the textbooks out there were so geared towards IT. When you teach, you know, first when I was teaching in criminal justice departments and then into Homeland Security, the students don't necessarily have that background. And so a colleague and I was approached by a colleague of mine about 4 years ago, and she does not know anything about cyber, but she is does textbooks, and said that Sage Publications were looking for author to write a cyber text that's geared specifically towards non-technical students, so criminal justice and things like that. And so we set out on this amazing adventure, and it was an adventure. The textbook came out this fall, Cyberspace, Cybersecurity, and Cybercrime. My co-author is Janine Kremling at San Bernardino in California, and she and I worked diligently on this with Sage Publications, and we are very, very proud of the finished product. So thank you.
That's awesome. Well, it is definitely on my must-read list. And where can people get? Is it on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. It is, and it's
Okay.
very affordable for a textbook. So you're not looking to spend $100 or anything like that. So it is very affordable. We tried to keep the prices down and everything.
Can we even call it a textbook then? I think that lose some of its
This
characteristic.
is true.
You know,
I think though, being over close to 300 pages, just thin pages, that it counts.
Okay. Well, most definitely. Well, we're going to just start wrapping up here, and we always end up with just telling you a little bit about what's coming up in the OTP world. And so February 16th, we'll be in Orange County. We'll be helping the health department with moderating a training and exercise planning workshop for their health department and partners. February 22nd, I will actually be back on campus. I will be speaking at a undergraduate biology public health class talking about public health preparedness. Followed up about a month, March 23rd, we'll be helping out Scotland County and Montgomery County Health Departments doing a program audit. And then I'll be heading off to FDIC in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I will be giving a presentation that Friday on grant writing for emergency services. Really excited to be heading there. They're asking me to come and spend the whole week, pretty much most of the week there, so I can spend time with all the people that are coming. So please, if you see me, say something. And then we have the North Carolina Annual Preparedness Symposium in Greensboro, May 16th through the 18th. June 14th through the 17th. I've actually had a wonderful request. I put in to speak at the South Carolina Fire Rescue Conference in Columbia, South Carolina, with my grant writing for emergency services, as well as my presentation called Recruitment and Retention, How to Get Good People and Keep Them. And apparently they loved the idea so much that they asked me to teach both classes twice each. And then apparently North Carolina may have gotten the word and didn't want to be left out. So in August, I will be at the South Atlantic Fire Rescue Expo in, I believe it's going to be in Raleigh again this year, but they've asked me to do the grant writing for emergency services twice as well. So a lot of stuff going up. That's just a few of the very, very high points. Again, I want to thank everybody here, Dr. Parker, Monty, and Scott, for being on the podcast with me. Thank y'all for everything, and tune in. We'll be back on in 2 weeks.
This has been the On Target Preparedness Podcast with David Hesselmayer. Please contact us concerning feedback, questions, or thoughts at info@ontargetprep.com or at 910-214-4086. Thanks for listening.